Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you once again, and let me appreciate you for joining us for this edition of our weekly program, where we the platform for liberty and democracy. We're a non-government organization. We're committed to national transformation through self-transformation and building up effective leaders of tomorrow and impacting the communities where we live in. We're back again this Sunday, of course, the day after the day after the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. And of course, the coalition is still going on across various areas of our country, in various coalition centers. And of course, we know that the INEC is opening up the by now it would have been opened up anyway, the coalition for the presidential elections. And it's such a pleasure being here. And tonight we're going to be discussing matters arising from the elections that were held yesterday. Of course, I apologize that we're coming just not at our normal time, but because the coalitions were was about 6 p.m. And then the coalitions commenced around 6 p.m. Nigeria time, and of course other exigencies of the day made it very imperative that we give it a bit more time, so that we would have a bit more to actually look at together. And so it is my pleasure to welcome our PLIDE in-house panel, even as we look through the issues that have arisen. The elections held across I believe 774 or thereabout local governments yesterday, and in all the states of the Federation. Of course, there were some postponements in places like Bayelsa and Co. And so that's where we are. And tonight we want to discuss the matters arising, and of course the results have started coming out, and somehow most of us already have an idea who we think might be our next president. Nobody's sure yet. The elections, this is probably the first time in a long time, minus the days when you are the UPN, NPN, GNPP, People Redemptions Party. This is the first time we have like a 4-horse race in the true sense of it, per se. And it's been very, very interesting. But what they've also revealed, and of course, we're going to be discussing things like, in Nigeria, for example, we've, for many years, for the past few years, we've used social media as a barometer of realities on ground in Nigeria, as social media, as the bubble burst, or is there a confirmation, or are people, there's so many things to discuss. So it is my pleasure to welcome everybody. And first of all, I'm going to go with PLIDE. It's Shalafa Ebi, to open the floor. We'll just give five minutes first to just evaluate, of course, before we go into the real issues. 5 minutes each way to just, review, to do a review of the event of yesterday. How did it go in your area? Where you're based. Let's start with where you're based. What was it like? What news did you hear around your states? Let's concentrate on where you live, your polling unit, your ward, your local government, and your state generally. Why not? Let's start from that. So, PLIDE Transformational, we will start with you. Please open the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Convener. I want to welcome everybody for joining us again this evening, and most especially the PLIDE and the compatriots across the nation. Like you said, this is a very sensitive and a decisive period in the annals of history of our nation, where we are coming together, where we've come together to elect leaders to represent us in the National Assembly, and most importantly, the president of the country. And so far, so good. In the most part of this country, the election has been fair and fair. People, cast their votes, in a very orderly manner, and in most of the states, peradventure in Ibadan, Oluyole, where I oversaw, I realized that the election was fair, the election was free. As Oluyole is known as one of the highlight parts, the highlight region in Oyo State, Ibadan metropolis as a whole, where people had to coordinate themselves well. And I remember before the late Ajimobi, is the same local government that covers his house. So for your state, for Ibadan particularly, the election was free, was fair, and people were allowed to exercise their franchise without with limited and micro form of intimidation harassment. But at the same time, we cannot shy away from that fact that we saw videos where voters were intimidated in the east, where people who voted for a particular party were being wooed, were being bullied out of the polling center. We heard from the north a video of the underage where we even saw a particular governor sitting in their middle, overseeing an underage population casting their vote. And invariably, we also saw videos in Lagos.
Sorry, can we mention the name of the governor? I mean, if it's in public domain, because we're doing this is a public service thing, and if we're sure of our facts, I always want to recommend that we mention the name. I've not seen the video, but if it does exist, and we know it's dated yesterday, because on social media we can manipulate things, recycle them, just like that video that was going around. Some people were killed, where I was a training practice in Ghana, So, but if we're sure of our facts, we need to call out these people. We need to call them out. Please don't be. Mention
absolutely it. Very correct. Very correct. But as it is, like you said, PLIDE, as we represent a number, a group of people that does not dwell on fallacies, but rather unfounded, and granted evidences and facts. But as it is, because the only video I could lay my hand personally on was the video of the young lad, a 4-year-old boy that was going around the social media as yesterday, where the guy was on a queue to count his votes and to, for a particular political party. And at the same time, I had the video of residents in Lasu who were also protesting that they were not allowed into the police center to exercise their right. And at the same time, we had in Okota area, we had in Festac and some other places where the Labour Party also alleged that their locations, where they had most of their loyalists or people who had some kind of soft spot for them, and they were disenfranchised from casting their votes. And we also saw a video from Surulere, where a particular young man was also threatening voters. The video was so clear that it was not even missing words. It was saying emphatically, if you are in this place and you are not voting for APC, leave this polling booth, leave this polling unit now. We had this kind of issues, we had this kind of feedback. We had people who voted for a particular party, APC in the east, and people bullied him. And even before this election, we saw, I call it a highest form of authoritarianism and draconian tendency from the governor of Kogi State, who took, an excavator to a particular village where a lady was contesting as a representative of that particular locality. And this governor went there to dig, to excavate the road linking to that community, claiming that he did that to safeguard, people in that location and to also ensure the security. So at that time, many of us from a radiological Granddad School of Thought are beginning to wonder, as a chief security officer, are you that downgraded to that level that you cannot ensure the security of people in that particular location until you establish the road, depriving them, the right and access to road, access
such that you become an excavator. The governor, so you're saying the governor has become an excavator.
He become an excavator, yes. Very unfortunate. For us in this kind of dispensation, we expected a mature approach. We expected the spirit of sportsmanship. Whoever wins an election must understand that he won based on merit after, the condition must have been certified by INEC. And whoever lost must also accept that fact that citizens have spoken. And that is the era in which we need to go to. But conclusively, likely the election has been peaceful. The counting was done in an orderly manner. Collation has been done. Even people are beginning to get figures together. The beavers in most of the locations, were each free. Even despite there are some locations where people reported that there was no network for the beavers to work properly. Many, suggested that at some location where like 300 people, all these allegations where, like, for example, like 300 people registered on beavers. At the time, me for a paraventure like 200 people voted. There are ways they said some INEC officials, so many allegations, But I want to say emphatically that without missing words, this election is an improved form of elections that INEC has been conducting. We cannot shy away from that fact. There has been development, there has been improvement in the conduct of election in the country. The voice and of the people are beginning to get to make marks, and people are going, the right are being respected. But at the same time, more as expected from our security agencies. We saw videos around the country where security agencies directly or indirectly were aiding and abetting the threats of human life of other people because they did not belong to a political party. These are what we need to, to take ourselves from. These are what we need to learn from so as to have a varied democracy in a country like ours. The election has been good, but we cannot shy away from that fact. There have been shortcomings, there have been challenges on the part of INEC, there have been shortcomings on the part of law enforcement agents, there have been shortcomings on the part of the party agents who have deprived rights of other people who did not belong to their political party. So I think at this level, I might just need to hold on for my other commentators to make their remarks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sekjen. It's been very, thank you so much for that. Basically, so what you've said to us minus the irresponsible actions of some people, that the elections were largely free and fair. I think that's been the report across as well. Of course, thank you for mentioning those incidents as well. We will still talk about them. Of course, the funny one is the governor who has become an excavator, who has become an excavator, So I believe maybe that will be in Natasha Akpoti's constituency zone or senatorial zone or thereabout, But these are things. I mean, it is actually it just bears. How do you begin to think about it? Because you're still going to fix that road, right? With which money? Public funds. And those public funds, the road that you have dug up, in order to put that road back, you will spend quite a lot of money, which maybe you will build a new primary school in a locality with a rundown primary school or something, or it will build a health center in a small community. It just bears. But you know what? We'll talk about it. Don't let me take our time too much on this. Let's go on. Let me get Lukman, PLIDE Lukman. Let's have you next. Basically, I want everybody at this stage, when I call you first, all we want you to do is just concentrate on how does this impact, how have things been in your locality? How did you find it? How was the experience in your polling unit, in your ward, in your local government, in your state? Let's leave it at that for now. Then later we'll move on to the bigger things, to the other things. I mean, PLIDE Lukman, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, I voted in the Ikosi Sherry Work C, to be precise, in polling unit 175. The election there was fair and fair. Throughout the SCD, the election was free and fair, and no issue of fight, bully, whatever. As my powerful GenSec have said, in most places, yesterday election was free and fair. Yes, in Nigeria, there's no doubt in some places, one or two things are expected, but
when you say one or two things are expected, could you elucidate?
Yes.
Something,
Yes, that's where I'm going to. Okay. I will do that, sir. For example, if you look at places like Okota, where they mentioned, that place is mostly dominated by the Igbos. And if you look at this election, in my own personal view, it has been a kind of tribal election, not basically on the ideological part. And the aggressiveness, to be sincere, it is vote, not fight. But when you are being aggressive to those that entertain you, yes, most of the people that are, most of them, they don't know what is happening in Lagos. The way, the aggressiveness in which they are putting into this election is as if we want to install an Igbo president. They've forgotten that before you can win a national election, you must have the support of both the Yorubas and the Hausas. You can't win election in Southeast and some places that you have your people and believe you will win. Even in Lagos here, if you go to places like Ekpe, Ikorodu, Ikosishe that I mentioned, and some other places like that, one party won, while the other party won in some places. But at the end of the day, people are shouting foul, different videos. Okay, we are talking about Okota. I posted some videos even on PLIDE platform where two young girls from the east have voters card and they said they voted for Labour Party. There was a video as well where a man was chased away because
we'll come to all those later. Let's just concentrate on your immediate locality.
Okay.
For now, we just want a very quick rundown of what happened in your polling booths, in your ward, in your local government, in your state, and then we'll move on to other things.
Yeah, my polling booth
still come back.
As I said earlier, my polling booth is good. The election is fair, and majorly in most cases, in most places in Nigeria, the election is fair and fair. So that's what I can say about that. And whoever that win at the end of the day, we are still waiting for INEC to announce the winner. So we should, the sportsmanship should be there. We should accept fate and move on as a nation. I just believe whoever that wins, despite all the challenges that comes around, whoever that wins this time, we have to do the right thing. Because by now they should believe it is only through the will of the people that you can win any election in Nigeria now, because the people are wiser. And another thing I really appreciate about yesterday election was actually in time past we always cry of monetization. So the issue of monetization in this election is good to some extent. I don't know because I'm not everywhere, so I've not heard of other places, but with the places I've seen, there's nothing like that. So the election is good, and I believe we can improve more in the subsequent one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for enlightening us on quite a lot of areas there. So I'll move on to, I'm just calling people in order of how you came in. I believe our director of media is next, Tolu. So we need to, first of all, this is just your opening statement, like 3 minutes or thereabout. Just concentrate on, tell us about your polling unit, your ward, your local government, your basically your state. What were your own personal experiences and the experiences of people close to you, family, friends, and associates? Tolu, let's hear from you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My polling unit was in Agege, and Agege was quite peaceful. However, something happened in our area which was very strange. There was an attempt to set up what I call a ghost unit. What happened was, on my street, we normally have a single polling unit. And this single polling unit would have 2 boxes, the voting kiosks. But they came in this year and they told us we had 2 polling units. And then they said the number of registered voters were going to be split into two across the two polling units. Then we went online and realized that on the INEC website, there was only one polling unit on our spread. So some of us got up and actually challenged them like, no, we've always had one polling unit and two kiosks. If you tell us we have two polling units, the kiosks should still be two. So after the back and forth, we went online, we called a few media people. We basically threatened to turn it to invalidate their activities. And so they later admitted it was a mistake. And so they shut down the second polling unit they had tried to set up and ended up using the polling units that we have always used. And that was how that went. This election, for me, there's a lot of disappointments, but unlike a lot of people, I am not going to put the disappointment on the government. I was more disappointed in the youths, the citizens themselves. Maybe the citizens generally, not just youths. Because at the die moments, the bullying, the partisan bullying but along the tribal lines, along the party lines, it was so blatant. I found it difficult to believe these were the same set of people who were advocating for a better Nigeria. And it just makes me wonder if any credibility can be actually alluded to this election, because all parties are guilty. All parties, I'm not going to cite a single party. Everybody had their own stronghold. Everybody had where they were pushing their powers. And it was just the bullying was too much. That's it. That's just my impression of this election.
Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you so much. I'm keen to actually interrogate you further, but when we come to the general discussion forum, I'm going to be asking you that question, because you did say they try to set up. Who are they? Because we need to. One of the reasons why we're doing this is also to expose those who have done negativity, and so those, by now many of you will be used to me, because what I'm going to be when certain things are said.
Do you want me to answer to that now?
No, I'm coming. I'm actually going to press each and every one for specifics. Can you educate us? Can you mention names? Provide materials and all things. Because in this season, we've got to show so much love to Nigeria, and the love for Nigeria. There are many ways of showing that love to Nigeria. One of the ways is by exposing doers of iniquity with concrete proof, that not forwarded things that you don't even have any evidence of. And then number two, also to ensure that, they know that the people know what they're up to. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't worry, Tolu. When you're making your general comments much later, of course, it's going to be very much like last week. Everybody will be able to discuss and pretty much, interrupt one another, once I go around everybody, So let me go to Joshua next. Joshua, over to you. Tell us your personal experiences in your polling unit, your ward, your local government, and of course, basically a little bit about the state, but mainly about your polling unit and your ward.
All right, thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. And I would like to let me just stand on the existing protocol. So from my own end, it was quite peaceful. In my polling unit. My polling unit is in Unilag. However, I was having access to a lot of polling units across that vicinity. But one thing I must say is INEC would have just done more, sincerely. Sincerely. I know if I'm not truthful about this, then I'm an hypocrite. You see, when they came late. Well, that was one. And when they came in, they said they give them the beavers, and it has a SIM card, and then the SIM card network is not going. You see, they did not give them power bank. They did not give them. They did not provide an extra internet. And believe me, we that we came to vote brought all of those things. Imagine we coming to vote, and of course, just vote and go to your house. We brought our power banks. Myself personally, I took my internet, my extra, my MiFi, my power bank, and I even had to take water and all of those things I knew were necessities. These guys did not hold them. They said the thing they were giving us was there, they did not give them. Imagine 4 years of preparation, and this is the outcome. And believe me, it happened across the whole polling unit in Unilag. I was so disappointed because I had to go around. There's this professor that had to take me with his car round the polling unit to, we were looking for the technical guy. And the same thing was happening everywhere. Okay, I provided my MiFi for the guy to use, then gave him the power bank to also use. Okay, he started. And we discovered that the first two people, what happened? They input your the beavers, for the accreditation, they scanned or whatever, the thumbprint, they scanned his code and your scanning my own what's the name, the voter's card was bringing another person's identity. What's the problem? The guy said he does not know. So we started looking for the technical person around.
Oh my God, that's go on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and we did it. So we started looking for the technical person around. We found him because the thing was occurring in almost all the polling units, and we are like, okay, probably it is a different machine they give to us. Lo and behold, it is not a different machine. It is that same machine, but has been tampered with from the INEC office. You see, when I'm saying all of these things, it looks as if I'm trying to support it. No, it's not true. And I'm a tech guy. So I know many of us that were there were tech guys because it's a university settings. We have professors, we have lecturers, and we have students. And most of those students there were tech experienced guys. And we're like, these things are things that we can, as usual, as normal, as just an average tech person or who is enlightened, you can, of course, solve all of this problem. But we discovered that guy had to be calling the INEC office and telling them, this is this, you have to change it back. And at the end of the day, we resolved that because the voting started and it was peaceful. And we all voted. Other polling units, my polling was the last. So we voted, finished, and we counted. So we're waiting to upload. Upload this thing, Koshi, upload. They said everything is down. They just called the guy and told him to start packing. And we said, no, you can't pack. You have to upload it before leaving here. I've sacrificed my time. I've been here since 7 a.m. And this is already 8 p.m. in the evening. You can't tell me you are leaving. No. The next thing we will see, we saw police van coming in Unilago. And they told them that they have been ordered to usher them back to the office. I said, okay, so what's the problem? They said because they have to go and do their uploading in the office. We'll follow these guys. They said, no, that except we want to risk our life. That was the response they gave me. Except I want to risk my life, will I follow them to the INEC office to protect my vote? Have they done enough? Is that how 4 years should be? Seriously, if as a young person, I want to set off maybe an online poll or something, and you give me 4 years to do something. 4 years is so, of course. And I produce like this. Let's be realistic with ourselves. You, as my employer, will terminate my job immediately because you see that I am incompetent to have achieved that poor job. That's one. Finally, they left. And I was trying to, then I allowed there's one lady, because the lady was familiar with this, so she said she was going to go, that even if she has to risk her life. I said, okay, give me your contact. Lo and behold, see, this is not them say. She said when they got there, they told her to stay outside. Yeah, well, of course, possible. One of the girls that came outside and said, see, forget it, guys. Your vote in law. And that was the way she said it. I don't want to believe it is true. But if it is it free and fair? Because I don't know
because of our time, I'll need to give others 3 minutes. Then don't worry, there's still a lot of time to talk. The question I'm going to ask: did you not snap the results in the polling?
Yes, I snapped it. Of course, I snapped it. I have all of this.
That's all. You know, all the other things are. See, we've got to be very, very careful. We've got to be very calm as well. Across the country, for whatever reason, they were not uploading from any units. It affected all parties, you know, so let's not localize things that are general. And you've already analyzed it, and it is so poor. 4 years to plan, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I always enjoy your banter with, especially one of my directors, Lupon. I enjoy, you know, so the fact of it is this, once we snap it, and if you see anything different from what you snapped at your polling unit, in fact, that's evidence for the party that will challenge it, you know. So let's be very, very clear of what the law says. For example, the law actually says your car cannot drive just behind a bullion van. If they're doing all their turns, you got to keep, all cars have to have a distance. Your car cannot drive behind an ambulance beyond below a certain limit. Those are laws. Let's not, you know. I think one of the issues we've had is a lot of people do not even understand. For example, like yesterday, you recall that I did make a comment on that. So, you know, because people were shouting, why would they exclude a particular party's logo in many local governments? But if my party is not contesting election in a state, there is no way my logo should be there. It will not be there, because otherwise it will call for, there might be errors, there might be, you know, so many people thumbprint it, and those are actually invalid votes. And also, the law is the law. Do you get what I'm saying? About following them to this, but it's important. You did everything to protect your vote. There were so many things you pointed out there. I find them very disappointing. They mobilize those people to that place, no power bank, nothing. And I'm asking myself, what if you were not there? Then number two, the machines were messing up. I do not want to believe someone has tampered. Look, even a machine, even a normal laptop, those that use fingerprint, at times it will reject your own fingerprint. So things could happen. But you know what? 4 years to do that. Please, I want you to, when it's your turn to talk next, I want you to go further on that, to expatiate on it, because I want people out there to listen to this as much as possible, because many of us have said it as well, that INEC has not totally covered itself in glory as well. You know, it's been too busy with certain other things rather than concentrating very much on how to ensure that everything goes. Of course, we know with machines, nothing can be perfect. Even your own laptop in your own house, it might be the day you need it in a hurry that it will just start to malfunction. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, when you've had enough time, if someone says send me a file in for 4 hours, you've got enough time to turn on the laptop, check it, do things. If it's not working, quickly look for alternatives. I totally and completely agree with you on all those, Joshua. Thank you so much for that. I'll go to, I think our provost is in the house as well. She came after here. So provost, of course, you won't have a polling booth report, but from what you've heard, your first-hand reports from friends, associates, family, and co, how did it go yesterday?
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm actually at work, but I just want to make some few comments. Like you said, I wasn't there, but my experience online, you know, watching it, all I could say is, of course, we can be disappointed in INEC and the government in terms of the preparation and, you know, how everything went, according to what the reports we're getting now. But I just want to express my disappointment in people, actually. And it made me question if we're actually ready for change, you know. The first thing I notice will be knowledge gap. You know, we can say INEC have 4 years to prepare, And I feel like the citizens too have 4 years to, gather a lot of information, knowledge to make informed decisions, right? For example, what you just mentioned about how, you know, if you don't have a candidate in a particular area, you won't have it on the polling on the ballot paper. Most people didn't know that, and in such, they were creating a lot of negativity, and you know, we can blame the government all we like, but we had 4 years to educate each other and to close that knowledge gap, right? So that's one thing I feel like we should consider in the next election in the future. People gotta be educated. And for example, you made mention of how you can drive around, following a billion van. Do people know that? People keep blaming the government and all this, but what about the citizens? Are you well educated? Do you have all the information? For example, Mr. Lu did say something of how they have another polling unit on a street. That's somebody with information. Like, how many polling units am I expecting on my street? What should I expect? What are the expectations? One of the things I like PLIDE did was the safety tips that was sent, that we created and we sent. I think that was very useful. Like, if you go into the polling unit, get water, get internet, get these. Those are the things I feel like should have been more shared using the power of the internet by the youth and all that. And the reason why I said I was really, really disappointed is, I don't think we're ready as a youth, like as youth. I don't think we're ready for change. And I'll make an example. And I was actually very disappointed in so many people posting stuff on, social media, statuses and all that. These are my friends. These are people that are educated and I expected more. For example, I'm a Nigerian and I'm a Nigerian American. Now imagine me going to a voting unit and somebody is saying because I'm Nigerian American, I can vote for who I want. This is America. It's diverse. Lagos is not for Yorubas. Lagos is not for a particular tribe. Lagos is a central state. Igbos are Lagosians. Yorubas are Lagosians. Hausas are Lagosians. It doesn't matter. Some of them are born in that state. Some of them have never even been to the East. And we all know that there's an affinity for us to like our tribe better. That's Nigerians. If I'm walking with a group of people, if I see somebody that has a Yoruba last name, I want to know that person because that's the person I really, really identify with. That's normal. But the moment you start feeling like Yorubas are better than Igbos, then that's when it becomes a problem. The issue of liking your own tribe better is not an issue until you start disrespecting the other tribe. And that's why I said I was quite disappointed with the things people were posting. And there was just so much negativity, even online. A lot of bullying, a lot of things that people were saying. Elections will come and go. That's why I said I don't think we're even ready. And I think privacy, I don't know what the laws are around privacy when it comes to voting in Nigeria, but you don't necessarily have to tell anybody who you voted for. And I think the privacy wasn't there as well for the voters, like how do you know who this person voted for? At least in like my experience in America, there's a privacy to who there's nobody around me, nobody can see who I'm competing for. All those information, I just think we have a long way to go, right? And one of the things why there's been a lot of security when it comes to voting in like countries like America is people just go, I voted. They post, I voted, period. People don't say, oh, I voted for Trump. I voted for Biden. You're going to find out the results. So there's so many things I feel like there's a lot of knowledge gap and a lot of things that we can do better as citizens. And of course, I mean, Nigeria is not there when it comes to like preparation and, with the government and all that. But going forward, we need to learn from this on what citizens too can do better. We can't all put all the blame on the government when it comes to like bullying and the violence. A lot of is I feel like was caused by instigation and just a negative report. There were some people that were just posting on my WhatsApp. I was like, don't you even have any good thing to post? around this election. Like everything is just like, oh, they've killed somebody here. And it was just so annoying. Like, can you just share some positivity? Like, oh, it went well. Like, just be hopeful. And I think that we didn't get that. And that's my experience. I wasn't in Nigeria, but just being, like being online, watching and everything, I can say that as a country, we have a long way to go, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Provost. I like that. There's a different angle you introduced to it. You actually said the government, INEC, the system, the governors of the process. And when I say governors of the process, I don't mean the state governors now, those who govern the process of the transition. They've had 4 years, but that the citizens themselves have never heard. I think, don't let me pretend like it's something I've even thought of before. The citizens themselves have had 4 years to prepare to be responsible citizens, to obey the rules, to read the electoral laws, to know the do's and the don'ts, to know the expectations, and to even know that posting unverified results is actually a criminal act. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, you go on social media, you see a policeman catching crews bantering on unnecessary things when your job is actually there. Number one, to communicate the position of the law to people, to exchange ideas, to enlighten them, and also for intelligence. It is intelligence as well. You're gathering things that will form basis for investigations and all things, So, and of course, I actually want to buy totally what the provost said. I'm very limited in what I can say because of the nature of what I do for a living. I'm a self-employed person. But I've done work in the past for organizations where, in fact, I do remember a situation where I could actually track someone. There was someone I tracked from the new base in Canada all the way to where they were 4 or 5 years ago in Ghana. Everything on their social media formed a report that I had to use. Everything. And the tools some of these organizations use, they're very powerful tools. Even when you think you've scrubbed some of those things, I see many people messing around with their future, messing around. When you go on social media and someone says, I want to come and vote for LP or PDP or APC, and someone goes, may your plane crash into the Atlantic Ocean, and all says, for me, I consider those people very dangerous. They're terrorists. That means if they have a chance, they could actually bring down other people's aeroplanes. And I know we're still going to go into details of all these elections, but there is we actually amplify, and rightly so, the issue of making alliances across the country. I think someone said it that in order to win elections, but it's not just around the country, it's not among tribes and co. You need handshakes across the age groups. And I do recall speaking, there was this elderly person. This person in about 75, almost 75 or thereabout. This, the way elderly people do, especially when they're retired, they will forward. Their main job is now WhatsApp. They've just discovered WhatsApp and also and social media. So you see, what they do with their retirement is to be checking social media, taking calls and forwarding. They forward everything they get. And this person will forward to me all the time. Anti-Tinubu things, a lot and all things. And in fact, most times when I just see notifications on my phone, message from so and so, I just know it's something else against APC and so. But I am saying this as a statement of fact, and it actually bears relevance to the true situation on ground. This same person, I noticed a shift in the last few months, and I ignored for a while, but eventually I asked questions. But then this person said they insulted our son on social media because our son said he was going to vote PDP. I am telling you a fact that they insulted the guy, that the guy had to close his social media account, and some of them were even threatening him with death. And that she now said to herself, and some of you will recall that I actually posted this ages ago, and I was warning that in terms of the noise, in terms of the vitriol, in terms of the toxicity, in terms of the acidity of the whole thing, that the way it was going, you're going to lose more people rather than gain people. And she said, for her, she started thinking that, oh, Tinubu is dangerous, or that she considers Tinubu to be bad. But these young children that are coming, that they might even be coming to their houses, if they know that you are going to vote one party in local government election tomorrow, they'll be saying, go and kill you overnight and all this. And that shift just happened. Nobody participated. And for me, and I know the surgeon will recall that I've had this sort of course, not this example, but I've had this conversation before with him in particular when we're discussing something about the politics. And I also put, like I said, I put a write-up on our forum ages ago on this as well. So there's been that thing about this election. I've never witnessed such a toxic election in my life. And some people, and I'm talking generally across all the parties, they've done more damage to the Nigerian fabric than the herdsmen and stroke farmers crisis. They've done so much damage. They've divided us along ethnic, religious, it's honestly, but you know what? Let me. I know Ola is raising. Don't worry, I'll come to everybody. I need to call someone before you, and then you're next. I think Shokunbi came before you, and after that, you're next. So, Bumi, let's have you, and then let's have PLIDE Abiola.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I really did not follow the election like that. But when I spoke with them at home yesterday, the election was free and fair. There was no fight. So far, you were voting for APC.
You said you spoke to them at home yesterday. Where is home?
Okay, Nigeria, Lagos.
Yeah, Onitsha or Lagos or where?
Lagos, okay. Sir.
And so, because we're not saying you should tell us the street, but what area, locality, just so we can.
Okay, Orili Agege local government.
Okay, that's very near you as well,
Yes.
So, okay.
So I heard the election was free and fair. That's if you're voting for APC. So I spoke with my mom. I asked her who she was going to vote for. She said, over the years of voting for APC, what did they do? And they killed innocent kids. They did this, they did that. I was like, Mom, whatever, just do whatever you want to do. She said she's not even going. My dad said he was not going. So later, my younger sister was now showing me the rise of Obasa's. Okay, there are some group of ladies they call Obasa babes in Orili Agege. So I think they were sharing one Derika of rice to anybody that votes APC. I don't know. That was what I heard. And I remember that one of the Obasa's babe, the last election, because I did not vote. She came to our house to call me to come and vote. I thought I wasn't ready to vote. I can't sell my future because of a Derika of rice and I think noodles that time, just 2 noodles. That I wasn't ready.
And 1 Derika of rice as well.
Yes. And bread. Yeah, like 1 very small bread. I was like, so because of this, do I look like somebody that is hungry or what? Since that year, Tope has not been talking to me. Anytime I pass in front of their house, she's always eating, doing all sort of things. So I feel I don't know. I feel people they are just hungry. They are just hungry lions. I don't know. Because how can you see something that is wrong and you're still going for that wrong thing? I don't know. But the election was very calm in my area. So far you're voting for APC. You're good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a so it was calm in your area, but of course, calm is subjective because it might be calm on the surface, but if you're inducing people, of course, all the parties did it, but of course, in this case, it's only one we're aware of. That there was inducement in terms of Derika of rice, and some of us who know Derika, when some of us whose moms used to send to the market when we were much younger. Of course, now we buy in bags, but in those days, Derika, it's just that it's actually a tomato, crushed tomatoes container they call Derika, so. And that's the measure in the market, so and they're sharing that on 2 noodles, 2 pieces noodles, so and then someone will stop talking to a friend on the street because the person refused to number one, accept the inducement, number two, come out to vote your candidate. It's a big shame. It's a huge disgrace. Thank you for sharing that. PLIDE, it's Olayola. Let's have you.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. Glad to have you.
And happy New Year.
Same to you. Hello, Abiola, you may go on. Okay. I'm thinking his connection has gone kaput, you know.
Hello?
So, okay, go on. We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
This point I want to raise is very important for me, especially if PLIDE is coming up with a position paper after the election. And INEC tried to make things easy, but the more they try to make things easy, it seems to be difficult. What do I mean by that? At my own polling booth 001 at the command Ipaja has it. They try to split that because that polling has more than 2,000 voters. And every year we take turns for us to vote and a lot of things happen. So they try to break it to like 6 units. And in breaking it, they use your surname alphabetical. You understand what I mean now? So in the course of using the surname, some persons may be, so instead of, they now, put those pony inside some streets. Which at the end of the day, most of those streets end up still going out to go and vote from another distant streets. So it makes that polling unit very difficult to locate. At the end of the day, sometimes useless, and this will affect the turnout. If you see the turnout of this election is very low to compare to the history we have in Nigeria, because they try to help us, but in helping us, they create another big problem for us. Polling unit center supposed to be for the people in that locality, not alphabetical. That it takes ages for people to find their polling. I was at my polling yesterday. Some person just came just with a car, like almost 5. Some elder people. They've been through everywhere to find before they got to that place. Getting there, the voting has closed. That was around 2:32, and the Viva shut down 2:30. So unfortunate. It was also painful that yesterday. So, and I was looking at the collation going on. You see the figure, you're like, wow, what's going on? You understand? So the turnout was really low, not because people did not really come out, but people find it difficult to locate the address. And these are very important information that the so-called people, and because I discovered that, and secondly, I discovered that in Nigeria we have this mentality. We believe that in as much as everybody have their own preference candidate, whatever, a ruling party will still have their own people. Take it or leave it. But the fact that a party is in power and they are not good to you does not mean that a person does not see why he or she should like them. But the fact you hate Tinubu does not mean I must hate Tinubu. But the fact that you hate Obi does not mean I must hate Obi. Are you getting it? So, but it's unfortunate in a part of the country that when the party in power wins election, it is rigged. But when the opposition wins election, it is free and fair. It's a very, very bad mindset in this country. And it's really going to cause more harm. It's causing more harm to us than this thing. It's causing more crisis. Secondly, and I want to make reference to the second to the last speaker, which we said earlier, which was trying to compare us to US. I hold an exception to that. We have our own peculiarity. This is Nigeria. And as far as the constitution we operate still concerned, which is subject to amendment, everybody should try to respect one another's culture and one another's ethics and religious backgrounds. This is Lagos. It's not, as far as it's in Nigeria, it is a Yoruba land and it is Southwest. If I get to Imo, I should respect and my hosts should respect me. It should be mutual. I should not be trying. In terms of Southwest, we are very liberal. We are very accommodating. I can't be embracing you and you pushing me back. You telling me that I'm stupid. You telling me I'm foolish, or you make me feel that this you are giving me too much. That without you I cannot survive in my own land. These are issues that is causing a lot of crisis for us. We must, until our constitution is altered, because as far as we are concerned today, if you still go to anywhere, they say, ask you, where are you from? We still fill that form, and for so local government, then we ask you, even some people will ask you your compound. That's to tell you how tense it is. And if those things still exist in our own cycle, you are not telling me that somewhere is no one's land. Even the constitution still recognize that clear fact that so place, sameness of people, some people play. You understand what I mean, sir? So these are issues we have to track out. We should try to respect one another. Without Igbos, we cannot survive. Without Yoruba, we cannot survive. Igbo should respect Yoruba. Yoruba should respect Igbo. And when it comes to area of culture too, they should also know that, you know, this is a line that should not be crossed. We should try to respect one another and have a mutual relationship with one another, but not telling us history of our forefathers. I can never. This is a PLIDE platform. It is created by some think tanks, by some brain, and they, as much as you make us feel that it is meant for us, or there is some level of respect you expected from us as our leader or as a father. It takes, you know what it takes for you to think about this, putting things together, and somebody will just come, and because you've given us that leverage to feel that we are this thing, and we start, you know, doing as we can now with those sticks to rules and the guidance. You know, it is not going to be funny and going to be easy. PLIDE is one, but we should try and have mutual respect for one another. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And apologies, Senator Mercy. I didn't realize you were cut off. I was, at times, you know, when I'm doing this as well, I'm picking out information on social media, on the internet, and at times some people are also communicating with me, sending some pieces. So at times I get busy trying to scroll through them. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. So now we've had everybody do their short talk. Before we start with everyone, I'm just going to ask Tolu, because I gave my word on that. She said they tried to, you know, and I said I was going to take her up on that. Who are the they, and why did they, quote and unquote, try to install a fake polling unit near you? Because I'm like, what would have been the purpose? What would they have stood to gain to make sure that people do not go to vote in their preferred places? And so maybe the only, you know, it might just be the stronghold of a particular party. I wouldn't know. I don't know what the voting demography of your area is, you know, so I wouldn't. But you know what? Tell, who are they, Tolu, and what were your thoughts? What did you at the time think give rise to that?
Okay. Let me give you the exact scenario. What happened was the INEC bus came late. So the police people had arrived, and they had left two policewomen at our polling units. And then about an hour later, INEC arrived. And of course, by then, people were already lined up at the polling unit, even though INEC had not come. Some people were playing ball. So when the INEC bus came, everybody was like, oh, thank God, we are, you know, moving to the venue that we are familiar with. And then they told us, oh, no, it's not number 6, it's number 8. And we're like, number 8 is like a car park. They don't have space. It has never, in fact, it used to be a dump. And they insisted that they were going to number 8. The next thing, there was this guy who is a party member. He's a very strong party member. I would not mention the party name. The next thing, he just dragged them like, oh, come this way, come this way. And the next thing, he took them to number 12. At which point people were like, no, it's not possible. This guy is a party, you know, he's an active party member. So it's not possible. INEC cannot stay in his place. It's already compromised if they are using his place. At which point the INEC people were now like, oh, sorry, there are 2 locations on your street. So that's the confusion. We'll set up one here, that's at number 12. And then we'll set up one at number 6. At which point, some of us now came together, went online. We're like, this is the only polling unit on this street. How come these people are saying there are 2? You know, and normally we have 2 kiosks. How come we only have 1? So I went to challenge them, like, we're meant to have 2 kiosks. How come it's only 1? Where is our second kiosk? They said, no, they only gave them 1, that the other one is for the other address. We now went online. We said, this is the list of the polling units. There is no number 12 for our street. The next thing, one of them said, it's number 18. And I said, this street is not even up to number 18. This street ends at number 15. So it's not possible for them to put number 18 as a polling unit. At which point they were like, hey, they will call and clarify. All of us now started, because of course we had some of us that were working with media, we had people that were social media savvy. We then told them we're going online with it if they don't clarify the situation. That there's no way. That even if they want to rig it too, we've not even gotten to that point. But at this point, how can you tell us that we have 2 polling units when we know that we have always had 1 polling unit here, 1 polling unit on the streets behind us, and only the streets surrounding us have 2. We always have, these 2 streets only have 1 polling unit each. So they now split, they had not come to paste the voters list before. So it was when they arrived, they now pasted half at number 6 and wanted to go and paste the remaining half at number 12. But number 12 doesn't have a fence. So everybody told them, no, you can't, people basically confronted them like, no, this is not a polling unit. You can't do it here. So it was at that point when they saw that people were not going to allow that to happen. They now like, oh, that they've called and they said it was a confusion, that is not our street. The name of the street is just familiar to our own. We didn't even bother. We just told them, oh yeah, where is it? We collected it. Everybody gave them paper tape. Oh yeah, paste all the voters list. This is the polling unit we know. And nobody is going to any other place to vote. And that was how we were able to sort that out. That was it.
Thank you so much.
Between the INEC guy and the other person, that was it. So these were people I can give my ward number and they will definitely be able to identify the INEC people that came. There were 2 of them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tolu. At least you're able to clear that, and it gives us joy. Whether it was a genuine mistake or a concocted one, we just do not know, a planned one. But thankfully you stepped in, and I mean, more like I said at the beginning, what just strikes me there, what if you were not there? So there's some streets that don't really have it's one thing to be educated, is another thing to be knowledgeable in the system, so how would it have worked? I know Bumi is raising her hand. Okay, yours will be the last comment. Oh, Engineer Liu came in, because I'm just very keen that we go to this to the next level where all of you can have your thing. Okay, let me quickly let Bumi say something, and then I'll go to Engineer Liu, give him his 3 minutes, and then we'll start the discussion. Yeah, go on, Bumi.
Okay, thank you, sir. Concerning what Tolu said, I actually wanted to add to it. What they do mostly in Aurelia Agege is this, because even if I mention the guys, I'm sure she knows them, but I wouldn't mention names. They are top guys in a party. Don't let me mention the party too. They are top guys.
Please mention the party. Okay. So long as you're sure of your info.
APC. Yeah, APC.
That's fine, because whatever everybody says on this kind of forum, you are personally liable and responsible for it, and it's on social media.
APC, sir. APC.
So that's fine. So go on.
Because APC, because the second street to my streets was where Obasa grew up.
Yeah.
So we are like a bit close.
The assembly.
Yes, sir. We were a bit close. It was always one repairing my dad's watch when we were young. So I know a lot of things about these guys. What they do is they vote a night before election. So when you come out the next day, it's just for the old women to just add to their vote. So about the changing of polling units or not polling unit, they knew what they were doing. They actually wanted to use that place to run their whole voting things. That is what they do mostly in Aurelia Agege. And it is so hard for another party to win in Aurelia Agege except APC. It is so hard. Only if that person wants to die. I could remember a brother that
let me tell you what happened here. PDP won.
Okay. At this stage, I'll need to call. Don't worry, there's more than enough time to say that, because once Engineer Liu has had his talk, all of you remember last week, I'm sure you had fun last week. You can politely talk over one another, interrupt and interject and all things, So let me give Engineer Liu his own 3 minutes. What was your personal experience in your ward, in your polling unit, in your local government yesterday? How was it? What was your personal experience or experiences of in terms of the elections that held yesterday? Engineer Benga Liu. Engineer Liu. Engineer Liu, are you there? If you may unmute. I've asked you to unmute. Okay, yeah, that's fine now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, in my own area, it was actually peaceful. So maybe because it's close to the police station, we have a police station close by, so everybody behaved. So it was peaceful, and for a number of people decided to stay in their homes. But up till now, I've not heard of any necessary situation or violence being perpetrated by anybody. Just it was peaceful. So we believe elsewhere it will also be peaceful. It is God that enthrones, and it is God that dethrones. Promotion neither comes from the east nor west. Promotion comes from God. Whoever God puts there, it's certain that the person will do well for Nigeria because of the level of competition before this election. It will be a cause person that will get to that position and mess us up. And if they try to do that, we are coming back to do justice with our PVC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Shegun Aliu. You know, so I like that, maybe because of the police station, everybody respected themselves over there. And we just want to appreciate everybody. Everyone has had a say on these things. So we're gonna just go straight into the conversations. And I know there are two beautiful ladies were saying something, Bumi and Tolu. So let them kickstart it. Those of you who were not on it last week, I repeat again, for the next 45 minutes or thereabout, do your thing, do your talk. I will, in fact, you won't hear me, I would only step in if it gets a bit unruly or something. Of course, there's always that chance that, some people in conversations such as this, they're very strong. They have a way of projecting their voices. And so someone else will be saying, excuse me, and they don't let them talk. If it gets maybe too much, maybe I'll just step in. But other than that, please feel free to interject. If you don't agree with what someone is saying, feel free to present an alternate viewpoint. It's your conversation, it's not mine. I'm just going to read the comment before you start that. I think that was like that Lukman who wrote too much emotions. Even my polling unit election was not uploaded. Electronic voting cannot be tampered with. It will be detected. The servers was truly down for uploading yesterday, but the same results given to all polling agents is what they want to upload. Then God bless you, Cornerstone, and of course, PLIDE Lukman as well. It seems some still don't understand how the current election process works. Indeed, it's not just some. I think most people do not, and I think INEC has a lot to do with public enlightenment. And some of us will remember in those days growing up, secondary school, uni, when you had MAMSA with Professor Jerry Gana, and no matter, even if the man was talking things that were out of, that voice projected in your ears, that we need to have those sort of promotional things, enlightenment campaigns. Otherwise, quite a lot of things people are shouting about, a lot of them, they're actually within the ambit of the law. I don't know how many more states they've released, but whilst we're at this, they released Osun State, and of course, those who already would have seen that, PDP came first. And I believe APC came second there, about maybe 12 or so thousand votes, dividing them. And of course, Ekiti State was released this morning. That was the first state. So all the others, I believe they're local government by local government. But if anybody knows anything in terms of whatever has been released, you can just mention it formally as we're going on. But please, I beg of you, I plead with you, please do not use this place to. It is against the electoral law in Nigeria to actually post unverified electoral result. The only authority that can actually post these things, of course, you can post your polling unit. That's within your law. If you took it yourself and you're sure you can defend it in court, if someone comes to arrest you, God forbid, you can always mention it. But other than that, the collation. And of course, for me, one of the big lessons of yesterday, it's and this election, like I said, it's caused quite a lot of divides in Nigeria. You know, that you see the results from urban areas are different from the results in rural areas. If you look at the results in America under Donald Trump, it was the same thing. Donald Trump actually won the elections he had majority of the votes in rural areas. The urban areas like New York, like some of, you know, they were not really voting him per se. And somehow he won because the things that impact the people in the rural areas, they're quite different. And for me, one of the things as we go into these conversations is, I've always said, and this is nothing to do with any party in Nigeria, for me, I've always been very uncomfortable and let me just say, very uncomfortable with the autocracy, with the dictatorship of social media. In Nigeria, you have maybe at the most 5,000 or 10,000, and out of those, well, don't let me say 10,000. What I mean is those you can even identify their IDs on the various social media, you know, and of course the ones that are considered like the leaders, so quote and unquote, when you look at them, maybe another 100 or 200 or maximum 500. And there's this thing that everything they say there is, this is what Nigerians want. In fact, someone wrote something today and said this is what and of course this one even what they wrote, they actually affected the APC. And I'm like, when did the APC hold a referendum for everybody from my state? Because they mentioned my state. When did you hold this referendum where all of us agreed this? You know, I'm not aware that my parents or anybody else, even my folks, extended family back home, were in any meeting. You know, so there's this arrogance. There's this, it's so much out there that people just impugn themselves. And one of the things I've also, I mean, all of us do know by now is that at times, and even when you go to a WhatsApp group, there will always be a majority that don't talk. If you go and look at those who make all the noise in most WhatsApp groups, you just see, like, in most cases, they're not usually more than 20. And it goes with that thing about 20% of your members make 80% of your noise. But 80% of your members actually show up, you know, when the stakes are very high, you know. So it's one of the things I want us to talk about as well in terms of the social media validation. Are they, the influencers, all of them, the way, the directions they're going, and even many of them were Let me give you an example. Charlie Boy, and I'm sorry I'm taking a bit of it, but don't worry, I'd already prepared 15 minutes at the end for us to round up, summarize. I know we'll probably cut that to just 5 minutes. We don't need more than 5 minutes to round up, so you still have more than enough time. In fact, you have extended time. Charlie Boy put on social media, he could not find his name. He was looking for his polling booth yesterday, and he wrote something, let me paraphrase, can't remember exactly. I can remember, but I can't remember the exact words. Of, you know, that despite all the trouble I went to over this election, that I'm not even going to be able to go. And I'm like, if those who are supposed to be grown-ups, and Charlie Boy is over 70, forget about the cycles he uses and all things. He's an elderly man of over 70. If people like that who are supposed to be the leaders of that movement, of his own movement, if they're not even aware that the basic electoral law says they are going to be displays, you've got to go to your polling, you've got to go and check before the election, go and check that your name exists. Go and check, you must know your polling booth. You must know your unit. You must know where it is located. There will be a display of voters register beforehand. Everybody, you know, and I do not remember seeing such.
Sorry, they did not display that though. They did not display the day before. They displayed on that day.
They do not display. They have never displayed the day before. I did not mention the day before. Let me finish, please. I never said they displayed the day before. It would have been displayed before, and they usually do. It's far before the election. It's just when they're updating those things, you know, the updates are usually done, and you can actually see where your polling unit is and everything. They won't just update and say Lagos State, number 1 to number 500,000, number 1 to number 20 million, and then they do it in alphabetical order. No, it's actually, so it also shows the absence of information. It validates what was the provost was saying. Those who are at times, and this is for me, I believe that one of the lessons that people should learn from this is a bit of humility. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people nowadays who know it all. They know it all, and that's why there are mistakes. Humility. First of all, the first thing to start is, what does the law say? What do we have to do under the law? What are the requirements of the law? First of all, satisfy. Even the Bible talks about satisfy the requirements of the law, and then talks about grace as well. That's the way the Bible talks about it. So what are the requirements of that law? So if someone who is over 70, who is supposed to be one of the, if you are mentioning the first 50 leaders of that movement, that name is going to be there, does not even know, I've got to check where my polling unit is in advance, that my name is even on the register. And the person starts looking at, it says a lot about the whole thing. But you know what, Bumi and Tolu, kick started, and please let me not interrupt you any further. Okay, someone said if you visit INEC site, you see your polling unit and the address, including, in fact, those are some of the. So I was saying to someone yesterday, I was like, even student union elections, those who even help us plan our elections, our canvassers, they're even more knowledgeable than some of these people. It just shows why make so much noise, pretend you know it all, never listen to anyone, never listen to advice. And then, I mean, he who fails to plan will always plan to fail. Okay, so go on, everybody, over to you now. Tolu and Bumi, you can kickstart it, and then let the conversations go on. Over to you.
I was just there to compliment Bumi actually,
concerning
and tell her that
the issue of
she was right. It was the APC that was trying to play the ghost unit.
I don't think
PDP won at the end.
You can go ahead.
Let
me
At the end of the day, PDP won, and yes, it was the APC guy that was trying to.
Oh, okay. In that locality, was the PDP that won. So that means you and Bumi are actually spot on there that the APC guys probably
won, yeah.
Yeah, so probably the APC guys knew in that place they could not win. So maybe that's why they were trying to mess things around there. Thank you for giving us that information. It's good we put this information out there, because I keep saying the riggings were across all parties. They were so shameful. And when you saw photos of people being beaten in the Southeast, or someone daring to go to a polling booth and saying people of a particular tribe dared not vote, of course, and then a policeman was actually telling the person, calm down. And I'm like, those are, and of course, underage voters in the North, in the Southeast, the only videos I've not seen of underage voters, I've not seen from the Southwest, but from the North, from the Southeast, loads of videos of underage voters. And it's, how can we ensure this thing does not, and what is the way? We still have an election after this on the 11th of March, so Tolu, I believe you finished. Ayole, you just go on from there, and then people can feel free to interrupt you there. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably won't have my voice for the next 45 minutes, so thank you.
Okay. Ahead of election, maybe a night before election, that they'll vote, and later, I don't think that is working anymore. So that's why I said in my statement there that some people don't understand actually how this current elections work, because this is beavers. You can't go and thumbprint when you are not being accredited by the beavers. So if you go and thumbprint down and you bring it to, and you add it to the to those that actually voted on that very day, it won't work. That is overvoting, and that your polling unit will be cancelled. So we should understand that. Then, secondly, concerning the issue of, I was talking about the issue of violence. We realize that in most places in Lagos State, where they complain of violence, in some areas, and I was saying something, thank God the Abiola Cornerstone hammer on it and talk about the same thing. See, we are all Nigerians. I've once been to Gombe, Northern State, and I've lived in Imo State before. Because my dad was transferred to Imo State from Lagos here, so I won't live there. See, when you can't come to Lagos and tell us Lagos is no man's land. It's not done anywhere. We have many Yoruba. In fact, I can tell you most of the youth that registered in Lagos State for this election that are Yorubas, most of them voted for Peter Obi. Most of them, I have them in my polling unit as well. They voted for Peter Obi. They did that based on personal conviction. So you get. But when others are not following your lines, you don't see them as bad person and you don't see them as inferior. The kind of language they are using, I see them every day in the street. The kind of language they are using for you is they'll tell you dey suffer, you dey do this, yet you want to go and vote Tinubu. You don't have sense. You can't come to people's environment. Let's put sentiment apart. You even do that on election day. It means you are creating unnecessary issues. If you have your person that you want to vote for, you have the population. It is better for you to do that quietly. Vote and leave. When you do that, that's when you can have the number of votes you want. Even in my polling unit,
this is Joshua.
The same thing, and I didn't respond.
I'd like to interject, sir. I would like to interrupt you.
An issue.
Yeah, I would like to interrupt.
The person insulted some of us who want to because they believe we are not voting for Labour Party.
Sorry, I would like to interrupt you there. I actually wasn't a Peter Obi fan. So, but I don't know if I'm sure our convener is no longer active on the Fegokosa group. But on that Fegokosa group, what made me make my decision? I didn't make decisions initially of having to vote for. I voted for LP actually. So, and what made me make my decisions was because there's a particular guy on that platform, Uncle Yomi Shoko. I don't know if the way the way he bullies people with
does he
words.
bully people, or you have like 20 of you, 40 of you facing him alone? Does he?
No. The reason why we take him is because he brings up unverified news. He will now peg his name under it. He will say he was the one who wrote the write-up. I will be like, this write-up is promoting some things that were not, and all of that. Then we began to come up against him, and many of them will come out. That was where I made my decision. Like, calm down. So if you say these people started it, it may be peculiar to your own situation. But for me, I saw who started my own part. From my own part, there were some in my area here. A guy threatened me. I'm very serious. He said that was last week. That should be last week, Wednesday or Thursday. He said if they bomb me, I should come to 40 minutes and come and say Labour Party there. I was just laughing. I said, I know that anybody, I just changed it to joke, and anybody that, because it's their stronghold. I stay in Shomolu. And in fact, they were telling me that if I do anyhow, they'll give me short sleeve. You know the meaning already. So if by that,
what's the meaning of short sleeve? What's the meaning of short sleeve?
It means
the question is what transfer between the two. Someone cannot just walk out here and tell you, let me see you on that day. Come on. See,
the guy. Let me tell you what happened. Don't say
someone cannot just walk up to you. I am
issues.
No. The guy that was threatening people.
That statement.
The guy that was threatening people in Surulere. That if you are here, this polling unit, if you don't vote for APC, go to your house. So I'm begging you now, go to your. Did they do anything for him before he started threatening them yesterday?
Some people are.
The guy. Do you know what happened? The guy. That's really. Do you know what others have said?
What could have? There is no reason for you to.
Let me tell you
on an election day.
What is that, sir? Let me give you
only after the video that you saw.
Okay, I'm not in Surulere. Let me show you what happened in my own area. I don't even have video evidence. But bros, let me gist you what happened in my area. in my own area, is a stronghold for. In fact, in front of my house as I'm speaking, is one strong APC thug that he holds the area ransom. Now, if you dare, I'm telling you this because it is a regular thing. If you dare go outside with LP clothes, they don't need to tell you, or you go outside and or youths in my area are being very careful because they know that as youths, you are trying to bypass. They will tell you categorically before you. In fact, as you're walking on the street, you'll be hearing them saying it. They will tell you. So there's no need for you to start justifying what is not. It happened in my area yesterday.
No, in that
They were
area,
telling people
can you
to
please
give
give me 1
them.
minute?
but you said
Can
it
you
now,
please give me 1
Joshua.
minute?
You said
Can you please give me
if
1 minute?
when they could not
Ayo,
upload
please.
the
Ayo,
Bivas, then when they could not upload the results, that you people were fighting, you were fighting the INEC, and you are telling us now that
That was
somebody is
because
telling you
it was inside Unilag. Unilag is very secure. It was inside Unilag. My own is inside Unilag. That one was inside
Joshua,
Unilag.
you are funny.
Biola, let's listen to you now. Let's listen
Okay.
to you. Let's hear your own view.
The truth of the matter is this election have been politicized on a tribal
What happened to
line.
a man
That is just the fact, and it shouldn't
where
be.
the almost the whole people in that polling unit boo the man out. You want to come and vote APC here? Go out, go out, go out. You want to, by the time you just oppose that, you can see a collective passionate, agreed this thing, consigned a direction compared to a selected, maybe self-induced or some people that just individually just take it upon themselves. They are selected people.
Cornerstone.
These are different
happened
issues.
if that man now was aggressive back? If that man, what would have
How can he
happened
be aggressive
if
back?
that
It's
man
just a
now
low ranger there now.
attacked them
They
back?
will have killed him yesterday now.
Will they not kill the man there?
They will have killed him yesterday.
They will kill the man there.
How can he be aggressive? He just said. How can I too be aggressive in my area when I know that they already warned me? They warned me, say, Josh, they will give me short
only one there. Most of them there, they wanted to vote Labour Party. They were pushing him. So if that man actually responded, what would have happened to that man? What would have happened to that man?
We are still saying the same thing, sir. It's across board, sir. It's across board. We understand. I'm only trying to interject your position.
Let's not justify what is not. Election is not fight. You go there, you vote, and you live there.
Sir, I'm only trying to interject your position, saying that it is not possible for them to approach you without you saying anything. I'm trying to justify that it happened to me. So it's across board. However, let me tell you something, sir. See, if you say that some people were being strict, see, let's take it to ourselves. I lost a friend yesterday, a friend's cousin rather. So a friend, he actually chatted me and said, "Guy, he killed my cousin." And I said, "What happened?" I wanted to know the story. And he said, they finished voting, so they were about leaving, and they sent APC thugs. He was specific, and that's why I'm being specific. So they said they sent APC thugs and they started shooting just because they wanted to pick up the ballot boxes. So because it was about counting, they were about counting. So, and they shot at people sporadically. I don't know if the person was a novice who was shooting, but it met about 3-4 different people and they died instantly.
What location?
How do you? In the north, in the east, rather, in the southeast. Yeah, in the southeast. Enugu. No, was it Enugu or Rivers? Yes, in Rivers, in south.
Wow,
in Rivers.
That's
yeah. So I don't want to believe you saying that. So if such person now says, see, he says, do you know what he said? Because of the name of the set of people, the category of the set of people that have come already to that carried out that operation, he already made up his mind that this set of people have done this. And somebody is still trying to advocate for them, trying to defend their, it made him make his decision. And there is nothing you want to say. it can be so aggressive with you. I'm being serious about it. It can be as aggressive. I'm sure most of us know here that I was part of the EDSAS protesters, and I was there that day. I left earlier because I had to go to Ikate to take some photo shoot and then go back to the house. That was why I was not there that night.
If
Imagine
you check,
I was
if you
there.
check, if you check, there's what I want to say. If you check the voting pattern at your polling booth, you discover that the majority of
Joshua,
people
let me
above
ask you
40,
one question. The
above
truth,
40,
let's be
you
sincere.
understand, voted in certain direction, while people below 40 voted in certain direction. Most of our so-called youth,
No,
they
that's
are
not
only
true. That's not true.
aggressive.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Wait, sir.
No, that's not
They
true.
were
See,
only,
let me come in.
aggressive. They were only aggressive.
No, let me
They
tell
were
you.
only aggressive in their points, but they
No. Let me tell you. I was with professors and lecturers. You see, majority of people that were there in the morning were professors and lecturers. And agree with me. See, the moment the results came out in Unilag,
I'm not talking
they
of
were
you in lag.
angry
I'm not
because
talking of you in lag. I'm not talking of you in lag.
no,
I'm
I
talking
thought
of
you were.
general
I thought you were trying to talk.
protectors.
No, you.
I'm,
I. Okay.
it's OB is like a
Yeah, of course, I agree. Okay, I think his network is down. But let me tell you, if it's by my polling unit, the moment they saw that some certain people voted for APC, let me be specific, because PDP had just 4 votes in my place. They were very angry. They were like, "Who among these lecturers?" The professors that imagine after owing you 8 months salary, and that was the amount. That was what they were saying. That was what was the amount. 8 months salary. You can see. You see that was their own position. So you saying that the percentage of the young, I mean, these people are over it because we had to get them chairs, and we're like those that are over 50 years and 80 and 70 years and above, 50 and 60 years and above can sit down. And of course, there were very many. We got them about 3 dozens of chairs, and they all sat down. So if you're saying that the percentage, no, it's not. It may not be very correct, but of course, it is. It's obvious. It's the obvious that it is a movement of the youth. Very
It is the
correct.
movement of the youth
And I
against
state,
odds.
and I
That is
and
the
I,
pattern of the
and I
in the
state
South.
that I can state that because I read I don't know I don't know if it's verified, but of the national chairman of the DPC that said that they kept referring to the movement of other parties, okay, of the Labour Party and the maybe AAC and other parties as a movement of the young people. And he kept saying that if we allow these people, they will disrespect us. And you see, so do you agree with it that it is the movement of the just because of the answers?
No, not
Yeah, and the
all
palliative.
you too. Not all you. There are some. See, there are some uninformed youth. There are some uninformed youth. Like in my area now, in that ecosystem, if you see most of the youth that came to vote Labour Party yesterday, they are within. Some of them are 19, 20, 21, and 22. That came to vote. Is we see.
Okay, so what do you mean by
You
uninformed
can't
youth?
tell me.
What do you
You
mean?
can't tell me
What do you mean by
your candidate will solve
what do you mean
Nigerian
by
issues.
uninformed?
You can't tell me your candidate will solve Nigerian issues
define
after
the
serving for 8
uninformed.
years. Some of
Please
us
define the
we don't see
uninformed youth.
Yes.
any reason to vote
Please
Peter
define the
Obi.
uninformed youth, sir.
So don't say all youth. We have many other youths that voted because of the fact that
But what do you
have the
mean by
track record.
uninformed youth? Please define. What
That's
do you
what
mean
I'm
by
saying now.
uninformed
It's
youth?
because they don't understand anything about
Ayole.
Obi. They don't know anything
What I
about
mean by
Obi. Most of them don't
they
even know that
do, they
Obi
do. No, they
was
do.
once a governor
No,
for
they
8
do.
years.
No,
What state is
it's not.
achievement for that 8 years? That's what I'm telling you. Some of us that are well informed, you can't tell me to go and vote to be ahead of Tinubu for
Can you
what? Because
see?
I've seen what
Can you
Tinubu
see?
did
This is what we
No,
are trying to.
Ayole,
Can you see?
So
Ayole,
You are falling into the
don't tell
trap.
the youth
See,
that
sir,
voted Obi.
no,
Can you
Ayole.
see? Can you see? No, you are falling into the trap of
Voting,
what you already
Now,
voting
said.
Tinubu,
You are falling.
voting
You are
Tinubu
falling
is not
into
a
the
function
trap.
of you being
it's not all the
informed.
youth that
It's a
voted
function
Obi.
of you
That's
being
just get
partisan.
that one right.
No. We need to get it right. We need to get it right.
No, sir. No, personally,
You know,
voting Tinubu is a function of me being informed. I have enough
about what?
knowledge
About what?
about his
Now,
activities. when he
Yes,
was when he was
now
in
it's
government.
not.
I have a
Ask
full
them what
knowledge.
Obil has done.
Full
You
knowledge.
don't just
I know
vote
what
without
I know
looking
what my
at
school
their
then. I know what my
antecedents.
school then
let
and
me
grammar school was then,
okay
That's
and I
one
know
of
what
the
it is.
basis of choosing your candidate.
okay. Let me now tell you those guys who are obedient.
Yes, yes, sir.
Aside from the fact that they are radical, aside from the fact that some of them can sometimes be intolerant, but they are informed, in a sense that they held the power of social media, and that is the highest form of information we have in our society as of now. These guys that you're talking about from 18 to 22 are the guys that will be on social media, Twitter from morning to the evening. So directly or indirectly, they've gotten that ideology that Obi is the Messiah. Obi as it is a thought force. Away from political sentiment, we need to give kudos to Obi for shaking the political landscape in Nigeria.
So what makes it Messiah?
APC, listen now. No, I said Obi.
You see, sir, let's just agree. Sorry. Comrade Ayode, let's just agree to the fact that you are shooting yourself in the leg. You are shooting yourself on the leg because you already made this statement that the so-called youth are they are abusing they are dejecting the ideology of other people, other parties. You just did that. You just did that. How will you say they are uninformed, or you are saying it's like saying it's because that means you are saying if they are informed, they will not go for this person. What does that mean? Is their decision?
Yes, now if they have the necessary information about Obi,
exactly, just good. So if somebody tells you directly, exactly, okay. So do you not agree with me that if I tell you that, okay, if I
ask them,
good,
ask them reason why they want.
If
the
I
only
tell
thing
you,
they will tell you is because there's no
agree with me. Agree with
one
me
lesson
that
too.
if
One
I tell
lesson
you
learned
that
from this election. One lesson.
Tinubu came out.
Guys, one
And
lesson I
tell
learned
us
from this.
that he had never gone to beg for any contract, to beg for anything from Buhari. They all had that now. Most of the boys in the boys in Buhari cabinet, some of them did not go for a Tinubu campaign.
Sir, let me tell you something. I spoke with a friend today.
Some of them would have come out to.
Oh yeah,
I
spoke with a friend today. He's one of the tech representatives of a certain bank in Nigeria, a big bank in Nigeria, and he works directly with the EDs. So we're discussing today, and one of the ED called me, one of the management. I think that one is among the head of partnership or something. So that was like, say me too, I'm voting for her. I did not know anything. So when we're now discussing, I now told him, you know the reason why you vote for this certain party. While we were discussing, of course, it was a jovial discussion. I said, the reason why you, as a person in the managerial team, will vote for this person is because you know the assets the person has in your company. If he decides to take it away, your company will run down. And I told him, and he was laughing. He was like, it doesn't even matter. It's not by that one. It's not by that one. People already have this reason. And you see, and it was the sad truth. He voted for this person because, of course, the so-called information you want to say is because he knows that this person owns their company. I beg, why would you not vote for him? So that's the information I want to believe you are saying.
Yesterday, why I use the word uninformed is that I was discussing with a very strong Labour Party guy today. He voted for Labour Party. I asked him, bros, what are the what are the sustainable projects that Obi have done that he did then that is still in existence or is still sustained till now? He was able to mention it. I asked him again, what are the projects? Wait, sir. I asked him, what are the
projects?
They don't know now.
Well, if you have asked me, if you had asked me,
wait, sir,
if you had asked me, maybe I would have given you a better answer.
Wait, I'm still
let them know. Because that is not that.
I asked him, what are the projects that Obi did in Anambra that stood him out?
Let me clearly define this. I'm not an obedient person.
Even on this same PLIDE, we asked most of them to tell us what Obi has done in his 8 years.
Wait.
Most of them cannot
at
tell
the
us.
time, at the time, I asked people, them that basic question. Now, what has differentiated Obi from people in APC or PDP? Because the same Obi we are talking about, in the last 1 year, it was in PDP. he defected to Labour Party because he felt he could not win against Atiku. The question is this, what we saw in this election is a mass resolute of people against the bourgeoisies and the draconian, political gladiators in APC and PDP. That is just what we saw. We must accept that fact that people are
Okay, let me now ask you one
that
question.
fact that I'm listening.
They don't know, most of them, they are not aware of
I'm
any
listening.
fact. Let me ask you one question.
That is what Buhari claimed to be before now. That is what Buhari to claim to be before. Buhari as one being that
Okay, let me listen. No, let Ayole ask his questions. Guys, please, let Ayole ask his question. Ayole, we are waiting for your question, please. What's the question?
Obiano that succeeded Obi. Who brought him as governorship candidate of Anambra State?
Obi now.
And who funded the election? Who funded that election? Please, can you tell us?
Mr. Joshua.
Please, you need to agree. So wait, so let me tell you something. You need to agree with.
No, answer me my question.
Let me answer political devices. That's political. No. Ayole, let me answer this question directly to what happened in Ekiti State. If you know who we call Senator Obafemi Ojudu got into political relevance because of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Listen. No. I want to give you an example. I'm giving you an example now.
Wait. He's making reference.
Ayole, listen now. I'm giving you a reference.
I won't take that.
No,
I ask questions.
Wait now.
Ayole is becoming
I will answer you. Yes, I can answer you. If you're asking me the question directly, I can answer you.
I want to answer him, but I want him to understand. I want him to
don't compare another.
You need to understand. Why will you learn when you don't compare? There's no learning without gathering information.
And it's annoying.
Most of them don't know anything about it. You can see. Most of them don't know.
I can tell you, sir, to answer this question you just asked, I will give you the direct and simple answer. Of course.
As he also be now, did Obiano won that election without spending a dime?
You don't want to learn. You don't want to learn. I want to give you a scenario of what happened in Ekiti State. Femi Ojudu was brought into political limelight by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All of us knew that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been instrumental to the political limelight of Femi Ojudu. When we did the primary of APC last year, Ojudu did not support Asiwaju. Ojudu said if Asiwaju should win as the presidential aspirant, he was going to go back to the farm. Does that change, the fact that Asiwaju has had an impact in his life? No. If Obi and somebody has had a relationship in the past, and the person is not supporting Obi. Wait, the person is not supporting Obi for his own reason. It is normal.
When you start
the same thing,
when you are telling us that.
I think the same thing is applicable to Raul.
That's why I asked
the senator is trying to say something. Let the ladies also talk.
Please help us mute, comrade Ayole. Help us mute him.
No, I won't mute any of you.
Most of them don't know anything about
to become a governor in Osun State.
They don't know anything about his background. They don't know anything about his
politics. The point is this, like I said previously, what we had is it should be a thinking, it should put the gladiators in APC and PDP a thinking cap for them to see that citizens are becoming more aware, citizens are becoming more conscious of their expectations from governance.
Most of you are blaming Tinubu for that. Most of you are blaming Tinubu for the Buhari failure. And he said, okay, I've supported people enough. Let me do this thing. So let's see what he's going to do now. And thank God he has won.
Why I want to hold the exception to that statement what you just said is that Buhari has also Obi is just like a history repeating itself like Buhari. Buhari to start like this, mobilizing and gathering some support, some votes from the north, having a certain number of votes that used to have every election year. believing that he's a saint and this and that, and see what we have in our hands.
No. You know,
There's
Buhari,
nowhere in the
if you
world.
want, you can't
There's
compare Buhari
See,
to Obi.
you can't compare.
Over time,
You can't
since
compare
Buhari has
Buhari
been
to
contesting that
Obi.
election
You
for
can't.
president, he has consistently been getting 11 million, 10 million from the north. Buhari owns, that north. And that was why it was easier for CPC, ACN, and all of them to form an alliance in 2015 to depose Goodluck Jonathan because of propaganda. All of us are beginning to wonder what connected Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan together all of a sudden. It is the awareness of that fact that Lai Mohammed, that we know has been a liar, who sold propaganda to the public against Goodluck Jonathan. And when Buhari came into power, Buhari realized that, indeed, all what these guys were doing was to paint these guys back to the general public so as to vote against him. He then realized he had good intention for this country. And if you understand the politics of APC at the time, some APC leader went to Goodluck Jonathan to manage this man to contest as the presidential aspirant under APC. But when Asiwaju knew all this drama, has been a political strategist who had a very strong, sway in APC, knew all of this, and he played his politics to the time he sold of a Miloko when he had bossed, in Ogun State to make him the presidential aspirant. The question I'm beginning to say is this: I'm not an obedient person, but we need to give serious credence to Obi's performance in this just concluded election. If Lagos State is a clear example. If Obi could wrestle power with Asiwaju in Lagos State, it's a clear indication to show that people must be on their toes in providing the desired leadership and governance for the people. People are beginning to be aware that nobody can lay claim to hold a particular state in the country. Nobody can lay claim to say, this place belongs to me. If not because of violence, if not because of deprivation of voters, if not because of intimidation of voters, all of us knew what would have happened in Lagos State. All of us knew what would have happened in Rivers State. But that is just my simple conclusion. I know even if Asiwaju should win this election or Atiku, any of them will understand that Obi played a very key role. Somebody got into that presidential race in less than 10 months, and he had this impact. All of them have been in this. Yes, Asiwaju said it is lifetime ambition. He has been planning to become president since he became the governor of Lagos State. And Obi, who joined the race in less than 10 months, to wrestle power with him. It's a pointer for all of them to put on
that is why.
Let me come in. Leader Ayole, let me tell you something. I'm sorry, Comrade Ayole
of Nigeria.
So let me tell you something, Comrade Ayole. You see, the movement of Obi, this thing, you may see that the Obi thing, people, the youth, basically, I can speak for, did not see it as a Obi Messiah thing. Trust me, they wanted to take power from these gladiators and show them that it is possible. So this thing happened.
And the so-called woeful performance of what's it called of Buhari, and I dare to tell you,
yes.
I agree with you, Biola. Perfect.
But Buhari was not part.
Yes.
Who was not part of Buhari government.
Who are not both international.
You see, during. During the Osun State,
Ayole,
did you see that?
You cannot discount Asiwaju from the emergence of Buhari, either in 2015 or 2019. Let me give you a scenario.
No, I'm not talking about.
Listen. Before the point is this. You cannot sell to me a bad product, and when that product is giving an issue, you dissociate. Listen, I'm a marketer. I cannot promote a bad product to my consumer, to my customer, and later when that product is giving them an issue, I will dissociate myself from the emergence of that product. It is not done. You cannot sell us a bad product, and eventually when that guy is not giving us a desired governance and leadership direction we want, you are now dissociating yourself from that person.
Everybody, almost everybody fall into Buhari deceit. Not Tinubu. People believe Buhari is an
thank you, Ayo.
Even my own uncle,
it is not an offense to recommend somebody.
My own uncle
If you recommend me
because of
help me to
Buhari
get a job,
in
it is my
Abuja.
responsibility
He said
to
Buhari do
put
not have a house
myself
in
as
Abuja.
a worthy
Do not have
somebody who
it.
wants
So
that
don't
job.
tell me it's
You
because
cannot find a job for
Tinubu
somebody and
got
do
a
it for the
bad
person
market.
again. You can't
Everybody
find a job for
fell into
somebody.
that deceit, and I said it in 2015. And now
Did Ashwaju come
Oh
to
yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, let me ask you. Why do Ashiwaju, the same Ashiwaju you're talking about, why does he claim, hold on, if he doesn't want to, okay, if he doesn't want to take responsibility for, hold on now, if he doesn't want to take responsibility for the product, Mr. Comrade Ayole, if he doesn't want to take responsibility for the product he has sold to us, why does he claim the achievement of the other products, the likes of Fashola and the Ambode products? And he claims them that, yes, he was the one that put them in power.
Let me tell you,
it was part of his foundation.
He must take responsibility of the products that he has sold.
When Buhari came on board, you asked the question. No, you asked the question. When Buhari came on board after the election, tell me what deals of the decisions made under Buhari government that Tinubu was directly involved. Are you even aware that most of those that got ministerial appointments under that government were not through Tinubu? It's justifiable now.
After this call, I will give you 10 guys, 10 Ashiwaju descendants. I will give you 10 Ashiwaju descendants
and I was not
that belong to the think tank of.
How will you not blame me?
Ayole, don't worry. In the next 4 years, I'm sure Ashiwaju will think well.
If Tinubu had begged them for a contract, they would have said it online now. They would have said it.
It is not only by contract now. We have his boys everywhere. We have his boys as ministers. We have his boys as
Comrade Ayole, I can see you.
Nomination.
I can see you as I can see the Comrade Ayole.
How many of them was
Comrade Ayole?
Where was
Comrade Ayole?
Where was he?
What I see you as is you are a faithful party member. You are faithful. That's why you're defending. You can be so different.
Okay,
and say good one.
But you know that I didn't support.
No. That is not faithfulness.
No, do you know? Even ask your other
that is blindfold deadness. That is not faithfulness.
In Ekiti,
you cannot be faithful and not be partisan. You cannot be faithful and not be patriotic. You cannot be faithful and not be just. You cannot be faithful and not be objective.
No, when I mean faithful, when I mean faithful,
I don't support the like party man. Ask Fayemi that if I supported Bam and Fayemi.
Comrade Ayole. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Comrade Ayole. So I think Comrade Ayole is a faithful. When I mean faithful, you should know that when I mean faithful, it means someone who will always defend, even at the face of the wrongdoings. Of course, he's that. I've noticed that, and we will leave it to that. We'll credit him for that. That's a good one to be faithful. And you know,
the same way they sold Nepa B for us as the credential for the foreign president that gave us woes across the country. You know, people must be enlightened and logical. People must be logical. You know, most of us, I have my sentiment for a particular person, but when Obi is doing well, I gave it to him that no, Obi, for you to have taken PDP and APC across this country in less than 10 months, it's a kudos. It's a signal to our gladiators.
It is not even about the.
You remember when during our 2 days we supported some people as student union to some positions and they later fucked up. Does that mean we are part of their failure? When they started misbehaving, you correct them, and when they don't listen, you leave them alone. That doesn't mean we are part of their failure. I have a friend. I have somebody
you are not being factual. Sincerely, that is. See, if actually by education, see, you are not being factual, because when you talk of academics, when we talk of knowledge, we know that when you are being part of, as a leader, you take responsibility for the people under you.
And that's leadership. Leadership take the failures of people
That is
under him.
under
You know why?
you now.
Because he's a
You are
leader.
not under
And
you.
you
You are missing
defending,
this thing. You
sir,
don't get it, Joshua.
hold on.
Joshua,
They are not under what?
you don't get
Hold
it.
on, hold on, hold
You
on,
take
hold on.
responsibility
So
for
just hold
someone
on.
that is working.
Sorry. Can I say something?
Someone
Can I say something?
working directly
Can I
with
say
you.
something? Can I say
That
something?
is working directly with
I go
you.
out.
You take
I'm a PLIDE
responsibility
member.
for his actions.
I'm a PLIDE member. Now, a PLIDE member, and I go out and I'm on my PLIDE
Thank God for
logo.
that example.
Yeah, I'm with my PLIDE logo. I'm using my PLIDE. And I was opportune to be in office. And of course, people know that I'm a PLIDE member. Extorting. Do you know who they will call out?
Okay.
They will not call me out. No, they will not. Because obviously they will just see the logo and they will search for the head of that. And do you know what it is? That's one thing about information. They will,
for your action.
you see what he will do. Let me tell you what a leader will do. Let me tell you. No,
don't say that. Don't say. He can't
let
take responsibility for your action.
Ayole, let me give you a simple and a recent scenario.
People.
Let me give you a simple scenario. Ayole, last weekend, Ayole, let me give you a simple scenario. Last weekend, there was a fracas on the platform. There was a fracas. Listen, Ayole, there was a fracas on the platform between yourself and another member. You know.
So if I misbehave,
no, there was a fracas on the platform between yourself and another person. What did I do? I took responsibility and apologized on your behalf. That is leadership. I was not the one who insulted Mr. Anojobi. I was not the one who insulted you. But I took responsibility. I apologized to everybody who might have been insulted. I apologized to yourself. I apologized to Anojobi. That is leadership. Leadership is response to responsibility and taking up responsibility.
No. Tinubu did not deny his party. He never had party. He only said I was not fully involved in this government. That was what he said. So I don't know the responsibility, the meaning of the responsibility you are talking about. So you want Tinubu to come and say I'm the reason for escape, or I'm the reason why there's no money in the country. Oh, I'm the reason why
that's not what we are saying. That's not what we are saying, Builder. So Comrade Ayoli, you need to understand. See, you are just taking it contextually. We are telling you this thing. It's not. See, you see, we are speaking to you with. We are trying to tell you about it.
To some extent, you cannot take Tinubu out of the success and failure of Buhari. Though I have my limits, we can also blame him anyway because we all fell into it. But to some extent,
why is he happy that? Why is he happy? Why was he happy?
In many of his campaign, why
does he keep recommending
that he never mentioned Buhari?
The opposition Tinubu is facing today majorly is because of Buhari performance, poor performance. That's what is affecting Tinubu today. Tinubu, majority of people that are castigating Tinubu are because of Buhari, not because Tinubu has done anything directly to any one of them. So to some extent,
you cannot speak for us and say we are castigating Tinubu because of
the success or failure of Buhari to some extent.
Sir, so now let me tell Comrade Ayoli something very simple. You see, the way you are continuing, if you continue like this, having to defend what is actually not true. And when I mean what is actually not true, you saying that you separate a leadership from its membership, it is actually very wrong. And when we say having to take responsibility does not literally mean you saying you are the one that did it. That is contextual. That is not the real meaning. What it actually means is we are saying you go there. When Comrade Shola Fayemi said, he said, what you just do is apologize on their. He took responsibility like that. Okay, we are very sorry. Was he the one who made it? It wasn't the one. But that's what they mean by taking responsibility as a leader. If anything is going to happen.
How would you say you go there, you say you are sorry, oh, you are done? It's not possible now. Let's be sincere with ourselves.
Please don't be that kind of leader who cannot take responsibility. You see. Let's go back to the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible. I'll go. Let me go back to the Bible. Let me go back to the Bible.
You want
let
him
me
to
go back to the
accept
Bible.
failure.
Can
It's
I
not
say
possible
something?
now.
Let me go back to the Bible. The
Yes.
Bible, you know, where he said
Oh yeah,
the Bible
Pastor.
said and God, and you know, and when Adam sinned, you know, and he came and asked him, the first thing he did was to give excuse. It was not me, oh, it was this woman you gave to me. The woman too, I mean, the woman first said it was not me, oh, it was she too, she said it was the serpent. And you see what God did? He did not bother to ask the serpent. You know why? Because even the man he has placed there, he didn't ask him too much question. He just asked him, where is he? You see, and the question of where is he started giving excuses, and all of those excuses was
So
what made
okay.
him lost.
So sorry, guys.
Wait.
I apologize for having to interrupt. You know, I said I won't say anything.
Okay.
You've still got another 10 minutes anyway. But Senator has been trying to say something. You know, you've got to be gentlemen. None of you has allowed the women to speak since Tolu tried speaking. She had to keep quiet. Senator, she had to keep quiet as well. So, Senator, you may step in, and then I'll keep short again. So you guys continue.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation, and like Joshua said, Comrade Ayole is actually like a faithful party member. But when it comes to, I just want to jump in on the issue of responsibility. And let's say, for example, now Gensec is a bank manager, right? And a customer complained about the attitude of one of his staff, right? Whether you like it or not, the bank manager still needs to take responsibility, even though the person wasn't the one that did it, right? So when it comes to taking responsibility, and I think that was one of the issue people had with what's the vice president's name? Oshibajo. You can't completely absorb yourself of the failures of that government, right? And when it comes to taking responsibility and in leadership, or even as a spouse, as a father or whoever, sometimes you just acknowledging that this thing was wrong would do. You know, if you come out and say, oh yeah, this is wrong and I'm sorry about it, just acknowledging it alone would have put a lot of people's mind at rest. But you acting like this government has no failures, this government is 100%, this government is the best, and we're going to continue from where they stop, pisses people off. Because what you're telling me is that no government is perfect, right? But sometimes taking responsibility is acknowledging the failures of the government. Because people will know that, okay, no, now you're not being like ignorant or hypocrite. You're actually acknowledging that, oh, I'm sorry, we failed you in this part of the government in the past 8 years. But now we're ready to make amends. That's taking responsibility. But when people talk of government, any government, APC, PDP, I think one thing people don't know how to do is maybe it's a cultural thing. We don't know how to apologize. We don't know how to acknowledge that, okay, I'm wrong, but I'm ready to make amends. That's taking responsibility. Sometimes when you offend people, the only thing they want to hear is, I'm sorry. But because people cannot apologize, or even people cannot even take responsibility of those failures, is what in any relationship, forget about government or politics. Imagine you have a friend and maybe they said something that rubbed you off in the wrong way. Sometimes you're not really pissed off at them. You just want them to acknowledge the fact that, oh, they hurt you, and whatever they said, you really didn't like it. You just want them to acknowledge it and apologize and move on. But the failure of people to acknowledge and take responsibility of their actions is what pisses the other party off. And like, you know what? That's how you feel. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And that is exactly what happened in Nigeria. You know, no government is gonna be perfect. Let me tell you something, regardless of whoever won the presidential election, Obio, Atiku, or Tinubu, Nigeria has some fundamental issues that has to be corrected, starting from the policy and the law of the land. So it doesn't mean that person will go in there and correct it. And people know that. And people know that Obi might not be able to fix the problem. People know that Ashiwaju might not be able to fix the problem, which is the truth. People should know that nobody should be able to come. But the fact that people want somebody that can acknowledge the fact that this is not right. And these are the fundamental issues. And we're going in there to amend it. But when you want to act like, oh, I've been the best, this is what I've done, you know, when it comes to management and leadership, I take some classes. One thing they tell you is when they interview you for a leadership position, they'll tell you, oh, tell us about a time that you were able to solve a conflict, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you want to paint yourself good. Like, oh, I'm an international conflict resolver and all that. Good. But one thing why they feel most people is at the end of you selling yourself, if you never mention your failure or you tell them what you've learned from that incident, like let's say, oh, like I'm a very good conflict resolver and this is what I did, went to co-workers were fighting, I stepped in, this is and that. They know that there's no way you can be perfect. You must say that, oh, man, at the end of the day, this is what happened. I wasn't expecting the other co-worker to react this way. And from this, I learned that next time I should be mentally prepared. If you don't tell them the failures, your failures, or what you learned from that incident, they don't take you seriously. And that's what leadership, that's why I say sometimes I feel like there's a lot of like knowledge gap when it even comes to people. We don't have enough things, even our leaders, even of course, things like our local and all that. It's just like, it's ridiculous. And like, let me say, I'm not an obedient person. I'm not even supporting any one of these presidential candidates. But what the youth did this time around was to prove statement like that wrong, that you don't hold claim to the government, you don't hold claim to this land. We can actually turn things around. It's just that at the end of the day, everybody is upset and everybody wants to change and everybody's passionate. So I mean, that's just my take. So when it comes to like taking responsibility, I feel like the APC or even the leaders in the country could have done a better job. Thank you.
Yeah. The responsibility they're talking about is like him taking responsibility, even through his actions alone. Tinubu has never campaigned achievement. That should tell us that he did not. That is to tell us to people listen to Lai Mohammed on he's having issues with most of the government. Even as we're talking about, that's the first time that people were to call Tinubu directly. It's there because it's confirmed that they were calling me is to the public. So sometimes there are some issues you don't take responsibility. Everybody is
that's not even an achievement. That's not even an achievement that they call your phone directly. It's not even an achievement. Whoever releases, whoever number is released to the public, they will call him.
These are new notice. Are you aware to them? It's after the voice that the other now is. So what they want to do is come out and more Nigeria look mature to that extent. And now the social will be telling us in this that accepted that the government failed in that, and yet it's coming out to complain again. Do they have that thinking cap? So let's understand all these things. Nigeria policy that we are growing anyway, and we try to get there to some extent. This man has spoken out enough. He has spoken out enough to some extent.
Comrade Ayole, you are very correct. We agree with you. Should I say I agree with you? The reason why I agree with you. The reason I agree with you is the fact that you are passionate about your candidates. And thank God none of us here are talking about candidates. You are the only one trying to, defend a candidate. None of us. We have just been talking about the right thing to do. And do you see, talking about coming back to taking responsibility or not, sir, don't try to prove what is not. See, the reason why you see people following a movement that grew structureless within 8 months and people became the structure is not because of the personality of the person. Forget it. I think it's because people are tired of some certain things. Forget about, you see, the percentage of people who are tired are more than the percentage of people who are following personality.
Joshua,
Trust me about that.
tell you one thing. Even if you have good things in mind to do with this Nigeria today, the moment there are some things you don't say.
You see, that's one thing. That's one thing I want you to. That's one thing I want you to erase from your mind and from your mouth, because
say, you not get to.
Okay, I don't know. I believe it's been a very, very.
Is how it works.
Okay, I want to thank everybody. It's been very, very instructive. We've heard a lot and so many things. It's been very interesting tonight. The fact of the matter is, whoever wins this election, let's say the presidential election, so long as it's Nigeria that has won, and let us accept that none of us has the arrogance, none of us has the right to arrogate wisdom to ourselves. So none of us has the right to decide who is right for Nigeria and who is not. And for me, I believe that is one of the greatest mistakes a lot of people made in this election. And for me as well, my advice to those who want change, who want to change the status quo is that, there are many battles in a war. You can win a battle and yet lose the war. I think largely they've concentrated on battles here and there, and they've not fought it very well, and they actually lost the war. Do you get what I'm saying? So in many cases, I actually believe a lot of people have not operated things very well. My take on a lot of things is there's still a long way to go for everybody, and democracy still remains the best form of government. And democracy actually means, the vote, the decision, the will, the wish, the desire of the people as expressed by the people themselves and for the people. And in every democracy, everybody must have their votes. Every individual must have a vote, but the majority must always have their way. It's just the nature of things. It's the way it is. It's the acceptable way. And it is my plea to everybody out there is whoever is declared. I've seen quite a lot of people already inciting people and saying, and some, people are inciting people and saying, there will be war, they will go on the streets and all things. In fact, in one case, there was someone who wrote a very, very caustic message, and other people had to challenge the person and say, you know what, you are actually in Canada. And it turned out the person is in Canada and said, as from Monday, we shall eat the rose, where some of us must die because of this thing. Let's see how many they will kill. Please be careful. Those who want to die, a lot of them, they have posh houses in Banana Island. They have posh houses. Many of them are in Canada. Many of them are in Lekki. And many of them will not come out to Mushin. They will not come to Aige. They will not come to Oluyole. They will not come to Gwagwalada. And in Abuja, you won't see them. They won't come to Pape. They won't come to Gwagwa. They won't come to Karimo. They will be in the Eyebrow, Maitama, and other areas. If you go, so please, I want to plead with everybody, be careful. I'm not saying that if people feel to demonstrate about something is right, but you must have evidence, because democracy is the option that we've chosen as a country. And democracy means rule by the ballot box. And the law also states the guidelines that people need to follow when you don't agree with the results of elections. I mean, there was a very heartwarming result from Kaduna. Please, can you mute yourself, please? There was a heartwarming result all the way from Kaduna. They said the guy was an Okada rider and something happened. He lost his job. He he couldn't, he initially lost his job, then he went into riding Okada and some other thing, and he contested for the House of Reps on the platform of LP and actually won. I read it this afternoon. So there are bits of good news everywhere. And so if anybody does not agree with such things, for example, or the other results, the only way the law actually allows us to challenge it is through the court of the land. There will be the tribunals. Of course, for the presidential election, the appeal court will be I believe the court of first instance, or whether they've changed. I'll need to check that. But I mean, you've got that appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. Even so for the Senate, House of Reps as well. So if anybody wants to, we should be careful about the provisions of the law. And for me, it comes to this as well. This election, Nigeria needs, be one of the major cliches that will be used during this election was consumption to production. For me, I need to ask a question. How about we moved from worshiping pastors, quote and unquote, imams, quote and unquote, people of God, many of them who have actually become gods of men, not men or women of God, because there's a difference when you move to become a god of man. A god of man begins to talk from the flesh, begins to believe in their own power, and a god of man believes after a while that Red Bull gives you wings. You actually believe once you drink Red Bull, it can give you wings, and you start to decree things that God has not sent you. And for example, there was a video in circulation of a quote and unquote man of God who said he will flog his congregation if they refused to vote a particular candidate. And of course, whether it was true or not, they said the church was empty today. A lot of people didn't turn up because he had said if that person loses, he will flog them personally. There's a lot of nonsense, and in that country, we believe in following pastors sheepishly. We believe in following imams sheepishly, and they utter things from the altar that they should not actually mention from their mouth. They allow their personal hatreds, their personal anger, their egos. Some people do not kowtow to them. Some people do not bow before them, and because of that, they want to exalt other people. And this is nothing to do with any of the candidates in particular, but it is just a fact. And that is why in Nigeria, a lot of warehouses where they were manufacturing things, the next thing you see when you drive past, it has become a church or a mosque or an event center. And then gradually, and then we go to the church and the mosque, we pray and pray and pray that God will give us jobs. And then the following week, we close down more factories, more warehouses, more manufacturing concerns, and sell them, and they become churches and mosques and party centers as well. It's like bewitchment. It's like there's something wrong when we keep doing the same thing. And many of us follow sheepishly. Get me right, I'm not saying don't respect, don't honor a man of God, but there's certain things we need to be. And I hope that after this election, government will start shining a light on the activities of some of these people. Even the Bible itself already warns. It says in the end times, a lot of people will come in my name. False prophets. Of course, I'm not saying all of them. They're godly prophets. For example, if a man of God, quote and unquote, comes out and says election will hold, someone will be declared, Obi will win, Obi will contest it, they will go to court. On the day of then the people will be rioting on the streets, and then on the day of swearing in, the military will come and arrest someone. The current sitting VP will be acting president. That is actually a Nollywood script. What I'm saying is it sounds like a script, because if I'm a youth and my friends and co, and then our candidate, I'm just saying, if let's say our candidate has lost and we're like, this man already predicted these things, that once we go on the streets and we riot, then, the military will come, there will be chaos everywhere. Basically, you've incited us, even if we're not planning, because we believe there's divinity behind it. There's a divine instruction behind it. So we'll feel like God has already ordained it this way, that we must riot so that the military will arrest this person and this. And unfortunately, in Nigeria, we lack proper leadership. In a sane country, such a minister, it does not, but in Nigeria, we fear them, we do not question them. And that is why Despite the Bible saying, and even every holy book will say, God is not the author of confusion. God cannot author that this one will win. You see, this one will say Atiku will win. This one will say Obi will win. This one will say Tinubu will win. Many prophets, and they will call the name of the same God. And we keep following them like dummies. And many of them keep pushing their personal biases on us. And we do not question. And yet, when their words now fall to the ground, because if God is the one who gave you that word will not fall to the ground. But because it is not God, that word will fall to the ground. And out of ego, out of desire to not be seen as, oh, I said it won't happen, they will now start twisting and releasing more things, and nobody's doing anything. And the person we call our president, by now, DSS should have invited such a man, or quote and unquote, such a pastor, to come and shed more light on his prophecy. Because some things, even the sense of responsibility, there's certain, even if you have a vision, there's certain visions that are so frightening. And then the first thing you do is you even pray about it. You don't start revealing it, you're praying. That's why you see the elders of the church. You see people like Kumu, you see people like Adebo, you see many of them are quiet. It does not mean they will not have who they desire to be the leader. They might even, I don't know, I don't have any evidence. I'm just saying, they might even all be supporting Peter Obi or Tinubu or Atiku or Kwankwaso. But you know what? Maturity. And they know, first of all, we must have a country to even have a president. If there's no country, where's the president? And many of those who are inciting all these things, their children are in the best schools abroad. And many of those they are inciting who are sheepish, who will follow all their instructions, if push comes to shove, they will not get a visa to go to Cotonou. Well, Cotonou is free for ECOWAS citizens. But to even buy a ticket to be able to afford a flight to Cotonou will be difficult for them. So they will be caught in it. So I really want to challenge us as ultimately, this election is about Nigeria. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about us. But what I mean is, ultimately, Nigeria should be the winner. Because if Obi wins tomorrow, I'll still be called a Nigerian. I might have other citizenships, but I'll still be called a Nigerian. If Tinubu wins, I'm still a Nigerian. If Atiku wins, I'm still a Nigerian. If Sowore wins, I'm still a Nigerian. And we need to treasure these things. And also, I'm just hoping as well that Nigeria develops to this point as well. Well, people concoct very devilish things, and they send them around on social media. Nobody holds anybody to account. You see PRO or police, they'll be bantering, and someone will be spreading. Someone will say, you know what, there is a plan. Right now, we heard that the PDP candidate in Ishokon local government of Oyo State actually has kidnapped like 20 young girls and is killing them tonight. And I'm just saying, for example, and that nobody is going to, and somehow eventually everybody will find the information is false, but nothing happens to such people. It is, let's just hope that the new leadership we take some of these things seriously. And that also, I want to challenge us, if we call ourselves true leaders, we cannot continue to think like others, whereby all our decisions, all our thoughts, all our actions are actually determined by our partisanship. Oh yeah, because I love this party. Everything clean, every idea, and that is why when criminality is committed in one place, some of us close our eyes because it's convenient. But when criminality is committed in other places, we shout about it. How about shouting about everything? How about being different, truly? So that, people can see us above board at all times. If someone offends you, talk. If you offend someone, apologize. It's just normal. Don't expect that everybody that offends you is the offender, but you that also does the same thing, you are never an offender. So I want to challenge us as, it's not just the PLIDE members, it's all those watching these out there. Please do not make yourselves accessories. Don't let anybody kill you. Please don't let anybody lead you to your death. You have your future ahead of you. There will be other elections in 4 years. And if Obi or Atiku or Tinubu do not like the result of these elections, they have every right. They can go to courts. They can approach the courts. And the courts will rule. And I'm sure some of them will go to court. Nigerian people, even if they have no chance in an election, they will still say they stole my mandate. So people will always say it. And so we've got to, just like the last time people were shouting Moralu, Dr. Moralu, new breed, a new hope for Nigeria. And I was like, and then he lost the election, he lost in the local government, lost. And it was like they stole his mandate in Nigeria. And I'm like, look at this person. You're touting yourself as a new breed, as a new generation. And you came out in public in order to, and ego will not let them come out at times and just say, you know what, I couldn't have won. But, you know, they want to save face because people have been deceiving them to take their money, and then they come. Dr. Kingsley Moralu, he wrote it. He said, you know, they robbed him of his mandate across Nigeria. Which mandate? When you're not known in certain localities. And of course, this is a lesson for us. No one can win an election in Nigeria without handshakes across the Niger and the Benue. There've got to be handshakes across, up and down the country, shake hands here and there. There've got to be handshakes across the different age groups. And the younger generation, I'm challenging, I do not want to believe that all those who voted for the candidate we think, all of us are beginning to think has won the election. I don't think all of them voted for that person because they were especially happy with that person. But I want to say that I believe it. I saw it. I've shared an experience with you, and I analyzed it ages ago. The younger generation, you frightened those that should have an alliance with you. Because I know someone like my mother, my father, and I was like, look at these people. They're going to be 80 sometime soon. Two of them were shouting Obi, Obi, Obi at the beginning as well. I'm telling you. Many elderly people in Lagos, in Abuja, I'm like, Obi. But towards the election, the question is how many of them were still shouting Obi? Because many of them got frightened that, come on. These people that we want to change, they're crooks, we know them. And at times they send hired assassins after people. But they are still far better than these intolerant ones. Because all of a sudden we saw a band of very intolerant people. For example, what they did to Pastor Adefarasi, I can't get my head around it. That man gave Obi one of the biggest platforms anybody gave him in the run-up to the election. The experience, he invited Obi, gave him that pulpit, gave him that platform. At TBS, that place was filled to the rafters, gave him that, and that thing was televised across the world, gave him that platform. And just because the guy did not endorse, he did not say he was against the candidate. He simply did not say, I am for. And because of that, he was brutally attacked. And the man came on social media again 24 hours later to still try to appeal to people to explain. He was brutally mowed down in the same regard. And then you had the son of a musician, who was just talking generally and dissing. Everybody already knows the way he does. He was dissing everybody generally. He's always supported Shore, so he does not like Tinubu. He has always hated Tinubu from day one. He's always hated Atiku. And then he mentioned Obi2 is not the answer and all this. And then they picked on him, began to attack him, questioned his father's legacy, called the shrine which hosted the sitting French president, Emmanuel Macron. They called it a local shrine and all things. How do you, elections, every one vote is important. Alliance, you keep building, you keep building, you keep building. You keep genuflecting before people. You keep drawing them. I just hope people have learned enough lessons, and 4 years, before we know it, 4 years is actually a very short time. If people can start planning very well, get a new leadership for the movement. Take the movement away from fascism, because it appears it's almost like a fascist movement where nobody can say no. Nobody can have a different opinion. Anybody that has an opinion, a different opinion, is someone to be attacked, destroyed, or even killed if possible. So if maybe a new leadership, new thoughts, be more liberal, open up, listen to people, take ideas. Nigerians actually yearn for change. Nigerians actually yearn for change. People will be surprised if only you can actually do those handshakes. Respect people a bit more. Let them not be afraid of you. Because look, and this is the final thing I'll say on this, because before I call our segment, if I have a neighbor who intimidates me every day, who makes my life, God forbid, who makes life terrible every day. And I need someone to rescue me from that neighbor. And then you come along, and then you say, don't worry, you rescue me from that neighbor. And then whilst we're discussing how you can rescue me from that neighbor, before I've said anything, you give me slaps. Before I've said anything, you slap me. Then I'm going to ask myself, you know what? In fact, the neighbor I have, he doesn't actually slap me on. That neighbor only intimidates me, harasses me all the time. This one that I've not even said anything, you will slap me, you will beat me, you will push me. You know what? Let me just, if we use that Nigerian word, that Nigerian phrase where they'll say cuckoo, of course, that's not an English word, but we're so used to it. They'll say cuckoo. Let me cuckoo, just stay gently with this neighbor that I know. I can still manage this one. So I challenge all of us. May God help us. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. Thank you for being part of this. I want to thank my team. Thank you, PLIDE members. You are the best. Thank you for, like I said, there are these two people who always counter themselves. I don't know why. PLIDE Joshua and PLIDE Lukman. They always, and I laugh and laugh and laugh when I read it all the time,
He's my brother. In fact, we do business together.
So all the thing you people do on the phone is fake,
Yes, so we do business together. He's a very wonderful client of mine.
Thank God. I actually love the banter. Please keep it up. Let's. The more we do such things, we can disagree, but I love the fact that we all remain friends. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. God bless you. We'll come again next week, Saturday. But this week we're going to be having a number of spaces in order to discuss. We'll have like about 3 of them during the week, so we'll communicate them to you, and we encourage you to join us. Have a